Hello, all you magnificent people, Turbo the Magnificent here, and today we're back with what is potentially the final episode of Pyre. In the last episode, we sent Rookie home to his mama. And in this one, we're gonna be freeing one more person. Let's continue. We got one more fight to do before we get to the liberation.
It is daybreak. You are to set forth now for the Cairn of Haub, for what appears to be the final time. Thereafter, you shall return here, for one last exile's final chance at liberty.
Oh, the music's off again. Dang it. I don't know why that happens. It's definitely a bug, though. And it's fixed, because it changed music. Sweet. Alright, well, lick sand or shunt. Tizo expresses an interest in taking this route, and Bertrude thinks it's the quickest route. Vocations. I don't really have too much use for vocations anymore, so let's just go over here, see what Tizo wants. Oh. Locate the missing drive imps.
Join Tizo in a search of several drive imp stragglers, and reunite them with their brethren. Your intentions to explore the dusty wastes of lick sand were dashed when, on your arrival, several of your wagon's strong-willed drive imps escaped. Fortunately, their disposition toward mischief proves predictable enough, and soon, all the imps are once again accounted for.
Well, that didn't take very long.
However, Tizo also has a nasty bite to show for it. Tizo is very angry with his fellow drive imps. You dress the minor wound, which ought to heal soon, but the incident took much of your remaining time this day, and left both you and Tizo awaiting its merciful conclusion. Tizo lost 2 quickness for the next rite.
Damn it! And it's not like I can't use him, because he's literally the only... he's one of 3 that I have left, so... that's just a straight downgrade. Darn. Should have gone with Bertrude. Oh well. Back at the Cairn. Anyone to talk to? No, just Ron.
Whoa, hey guys, let me tell you something real quick. Now, I happen to have heard that Mr. Greentail, he's moved on, or something like that, right? Well, I just want you to know, he was one of my most favorite customers, and because of that, I'm giving you some great deals, okay?
Oh, are you now? Pile of Stardust, plus 10, holy crap. I don't really have the money for that, nor the use, honestly. We can get rid of Jormir's Fang now. Once again, something to remember him by, buddy. Hope you like it. Shooting Star was really cool. I don't really think we'll have too much of a use for it, though. We're gonna save these 3 for the... ooh, wait. What if? So I'm gonna save all 3 of these for the final rite, just so that I can just totally upgrade the frick out of my triumvirate right at the end, just to make sure we succeed. Alright, well, that's about all I can do. Thanks for your business, Ron. Hopefully we'll see you one last time at the summit.
Appreciate you doing business, guys. And you guys be sure to tell your friends, okay?
I'm pretty sure his voice has changed like 4 times throughout this playthrough. Let's commence.
After making all the necessary preparations amid the dry flats of the Cairn of Haub, you and your companions await the commencement of the rites. It is quieter even than usual at the onset of such events. The lone minstrel appears, bearing some sort of news. I have checked, and it appears as though the Pyre Hearts has not yet arrived, reader sir. There is no sign of Sir Deluge, or anyone. Their sigil is not set either. If what he says is true, and your adversaries are not present, then you presume the rite cannot commence. However, the stars themselves soon indicate you are mistaken.
Huh. Well, then who are we facing? I guess let's find out.
Reader, the Commonwealth, your home. Today it is aflame. Much like a stack of books.
What?
Aflame because of you. Because of your outlandish plan. Not that you care. Not that you shall live to see this place again. Your attempts at revolution shan't succeed.
This
So
isn't a
by all
peaceful
means,
revolution,
keep
is it?
trying. As for myself, I shall enjoy presiding over these remaining rites.
What the hell?
The rite is set to commence, but your adversaries, they have failed to show. Tizo wonders if the Pyre Hearts decided not to show, knowing that they would not have another chance at the liberation rite. Indeed, as the rites are drawing to a close, some of the triumvirants whom you have met, perhaps they are beginning to decide the stars are not worth heeding any longer. Sir Deluge, you wonder whether he would give up on the rites like that. He lacks in courage, that much is certain, though his desire to prove his competence did seem to spur him on. In any case, we have begun the ceremony here, and so I ask that we end it.
How?
Go on, then.
Do you have any choice in the matter?
Volfred. Bertrude. It is done.
We take no pleasure snuffing out a flame disowned.
Lo, even your adversaries have abandoned
What the
you.
heck? So what do I do?
And it is done. The Nightwings prevail by default. Not that their adversaries even care.
Tizo is disappointed to have had to end the rite this way. No one speaks further of the Pyre Hearts back at the Black Wagon. Everyone is instead preoccupied with the rite that is to come. Tizo can scarce believe this is to be the final opportunity to liberate one of your own. The stars always shine with truth. The ending of the cycle of the rites is now upon us. He looks over to you. Please, look forth, reader, sir, and see this for yourself. You may well surmise where we are going next. The others turn to you as well. You turn toward the wagon's door. You know what you shall see out there. Now, however, the time has come to face it. The dim and fading light of the final star still pierces through the darkness, demanding your attention, guiding you toward the end point of your path. You see plain the golden star of Solium. Look upon it for the last.
So right quick, I think I have a theory about the Titan stars and the fact that Zeno told me to activate all of them in a particular rite. I think she was mistaken in which one I was supposed to do them on. I think she meant for me to activate all the Titan stars for that one. The one where there was no fight. I'm actually kind of glad that it did work out this way, because that means I got all the achievements legitimately. But I think that's what she was talking about. Maybe. Could be wrong. Either way, let's go.
You are summoned to the Fall of Solium for your 7th and final liberation rite. Thus shall the cycle of the rites be ended for an age. You sense that, if the rites ever shall commence again, it shall not be during your lifetime, or that of any of your companions, even the longest-lived ones. The stars reveal to you one thing more. The adversary whom you shall face shall be Orlek. Already he has crossed Scribe's Gate, and awaits your arrival. If the 8 scribes created the Nightwings in their own likeness, perhaps it is only fitting that the Nightwings should, in the end, be forced to face themselves. It is a shame that we should have to confront Orlek in the end. Our goals should never have been at cross purposes. I am surprised that this is what the scribes desire. For now, it may be best that you recover until dawn. Regain your strength as best you can for the coming trial. Rest well, reader. The group disperses as exhaustion sets in. At dawn, you fly to Mount Elodiel to make a final effort to achieve your plan, and get somebody home. But who?
I think I know exactly who. But
Foolish reader. Your so-called friends. You are accomplice to their hateful plot. They are exploiting you. You shall never have your freedom.
I'm well aware. But I'm not so sure about the plan anymore.
By dawn, you are already up and about. After a troubled slumber, the Black Wagon is prepared for its final voyage to the fall of Solium. No one speaks.
Let's go.
As you lift into the skies, the lone minstrel raises his voice, cutting through the somber mood.
Reader, a certain olden ballad comes to mind just now. I think it may befit the circumstances. Perhaps it may help to pass the time along our flight. Would you mind it very much if I were to play this song for the Nightwings?
By all means. You urge the lone minstrel to play his ballad so that all among you might hear it. He begins without another word.
When the stars align, the rites shall come to bear, illuminate the signs, the exiles shall be there. All are not the same, but three shall be as one. Freedom in flame, the end has just begun. Strength may break our own, but twisted make upgrade. Together on their own, the journey shall be made. The journey shall be made.
You touch down amid the fading glory of Mount Elodiel to make pilgrimage to the summit for one last time. There, one last liberation rite shall soon commence. There, one last exile shall regain his or her freedom. All others shall remain, to carry out their sentences here in the downside for the remainder of their lives. And, in the Commonwealth, the plan of which you are a part shall either come to fruition, or shall be suppressed.
It's a lot of pressure.
After having landed, you join Tizo on an expedition to the Monument of Molten Millith for what is likely to be the final time. Hello again, great-grandfather. I've come to ask of you a favor, if you please. My friends, they wish to all return to freedom. I was hoping you could help them, just this one last time. I understand they cannot all go home. That is beyond even your power, now that the Titan stars have spread across the night. Yet, by your leave, I wish to help them this last time. They're my friends. They're my friends. What else is there for me to do now, save to help them? Soon he is finished. You return to the wagon in silence, feeling as though Molten Millith has shown you favor. At dawn, you shall begin your last ascent. For now, your vocations may occupy what little time you have to spare. Tizo gained 3 glory. Accept the blessing.
Well, I guess we can only study at this point.
You locate a secluded area nearby where you should be able to study the Book of Rites. Through greater understanding comes the reader's influence.
I guess just probably one hope.
You concentrate on the substance of the words and teachings of the Book of Rites, such as you understand them thus far. Inspiration comes to you in a flash, whether from the book or from within, you cannot tell. You gained the reader's influence, spirit. Finish studying.
Onward to Scribe's Gate.
A messenger imp with news and rumors from the other side comes huffing toward your wagon, here in the solemn beauty of Mount Elodiel. You let it in and offer it some life refreshment, as Ruki would have done. The imp's message turns out to be about him. You learn Ruki's past transgressions have all been forgiven since his return to the Commonwealth. He was even offered a well-appointed home and a place of business. It must have represented just the kind of lavish lifestyle that Ruki always claimed to have had for himself and his extended family. Eventually, and somewhat reluctantly however, he refused the gifts. Instead, he tracked down Volfred's agents and gave them ample information, thus emboldening their ranks. The last bit of the message sounds as though it was transcribed word for something Ruki said. It simply reads, "The rest of you better get back here soon, or else." You thank the messenger imp for the report. Soon, it has all your companions talking.
I had every faith that our friend Ruki would stand tall and rise to the occasion.
We understand this Ruki holds no small degree of influence, at least among his kind.
Tizo is happy to learn that Ruki joined the revolution in the Commonwealth. The news of Ruki's liberation fills you and your fellow exiles with newfound resolve. The messenger imp accepts some scraps to eat from you and rushes off. Your companions gained hope for the next rite. Wish Ruki luck. You stand before the scribe's gate with your companions. The gate guardian is there as ever, but you sense something different in her.
The exiles of the Nightwings. We shall not meet again after the coming rite. Tariq and I. It shall be time we take our rest, I think.
Greetings, Celeste. I would tell you that the Nightwings are prepared, though this time I am uncertain anyone amongst us feels thus.
We have a duty to uphold, Tariq.
And then what, Celeste?
And then? Nothing. Not for the rites, or us. Not till the dawn of a new age. Now, Nightwings, step forward. Please state your names and what it is that you seek whilst crossing Scribe's Gate.
One by one, your fellow exiles approach her, now with sureness in their step.
We are called Big Birchwood. We seek to fulfill the plan of Sandalwood, for we are fond of him and his beliefs, and then to go on about our business.
Tizo believes that his ancestors are watching over the Nightwings, and seeks to live up to their legacy.
My name is Volfred Sandalwood. I long as yet to see an age where freedom is one's birthright, and no longer are good people such as these forced to contend for it.
Finally, you step forth once more. You, a common wanderer who vowed to help his friends be free again, and who managed to come this far with this group. The Gate Guardian observes you for a moment, then motions past the archway, toward the summit.
The 8 scribes bid the Nightwings welcome. Go forth with glory. Except for you, Tariq. You stay right there.
I thought you said...
The rites are not yet ended, Tariq.
He looks to her, then over to the rest of you. Pardon me, everyone. I shall be there when the stars align. The Gate Guardian and the Lone Minstrel remain together as the rest of you depart. You have gained the summit of Mount Elodiel for the 7th time, the final time in which any one of you shall have a chance to leave the downside.
Anyone to talk to? Nah. Well, at least we get to see Ron. At least we get to see Ron one last time.
Hey, Fudge. Hey, guys. I guess you probably heard the big news, huh? Yeah, I'm going out of business here, I guess. Just hasn't been the same, you know. What with the stars all falling out and stuff. Anyways, just wanted to say, you guys are great. And I'm sure I'm gonna miss having you guys as customers and all of that. But I got some good news though, too. All of my stuff, it's all on sale now. And I'll throw a little extra there for you. Just for you, okay? So, enjoy. And maybe I'll be seeing you guys around, okay?
Henceforth, all of Falcon Ron's goods are 5% off. Great. that makes no difference. Alright, well, honestly, I think I'm just gonna keep all these equipped, so I should probably just sell all these. There's not really a point in having them if I'm not gonna use them, right? I want to hang on to these two, just because they're probably the most useful. And I do want to buy at least just one of these. Holy crap, that one just maxes out anything you put it on. That's amazing. I wish I had enough for that and the shooting star. That'd be cool. Now let's just buy this pile of stardust. I actually want to use it on Volfred's thing. Just to get it up. Oh, that only used some of the stardust. That's really nice. Cool. Well, be seeing ya.
See you guys again sometime soon, maybe. Okay? Because I gotta say, you are my favorite customers I had all week.
See you, buddy. You're my favorite shopkeeper I've had all week.
You have gained the summon of Mount Elodiel for the 7th time. Very few stars remain above to light your way as you await the commencement of the final liberation rite. The lone minstrel finds you clutching the Book of Rites, seeking there perhaps some bit of wisdom that has eluded you thus far. Reader, we may not have a chance to speak again after this. I may have to go. I wish to say that I am grateful for having made your acquaintance, and I shall remember you with fondness. I wish you well, this night and always. Go forth with glory. Then, he looks up and he extends his hand in friendship. You clasp it. You see Tizo has joined you. All of your companions are there with him, in fact. Tizo wants you to know that he has the utmost faith in you.
It is strange for me to say, given the circumstances of our meeting, reader, but it has truly been a pleasure. Onward now. Let us achieve our plan.
Reading one, thou art both wiser and less irritating than most others of thy kind. We have learned something from thee, and we are grateful.
You look upon your fellow exiles, your companions, with whom you have withstood the downside, and with whom you shall now conduct this final rite. Begging your pardon, but my time has come. We shall see each other soon. He departs. After this night, the outcome of Volfred's plan, the plan which you all have been a part, shall be decided, one way or another. For now, all you can do is strive to prevail against your final adversaries, so that one last companion may go free. You rise to join your fellow exiles as the last remaining stars ignite. The final liberation rite of this age shall now commence. Let us stand together.
Let's go.
Look, for one last time, upon the fall of Solium, dear reader. Hear me for one last time. For soon, the few remaining stars shall fade away, leaving you stranded there for your remaining days in that forsaken land where you deserve to be. The rabble that you roused here in the Commonwealth shall be put down. The exiles whom you liberated, all shall fall in line. But first, let us get on with this last liberation rite. You face none other than yourselves. Each so unlike the glorious Nightwings of yore. 'Tis a shame that one of you shall soon be free, for you deserve each other.
The pyres burn, and each of the triumvirants is present and prepared.
But before the lone minstrel can concur as per the custom,
Not another word.
the demon Orlex slowly raises his clawed fingers to his mask.
The false Nightwings have arrived at last. Long have I awaited this. My freedom once was stolen from me. Then I was cheated of it. Here upon this mountaintop. You may now attempt to take it from me once more.
He stands there for a moment, silent. Then, Orelek dons his mask and stands prepared.
May these damned rites cease forever for the misery which they caused.
Whew. Nightwings, we shall not meet again after tonight, for the cycle of the rites is all but ended. Thus, I would have your decision. On whose behalf shall you conduct this final liberation rite? The one whom you anoint, or else the exile Orelek shall be returned.
Godspeed, reader. You know what is at stake better than I. I have utmost faith in you to make the best decision and conduct this rite with glory.
Nightwings, the star's remaining light grows dim. Your decision, please.
It is time now to choose who, if anyone among you, shall go free this one last time. The rest of you shall remain in the downside to the end of your days. One by one, you meet the gazes of each of your fellow exiles. Tizo, Bertrude, Volfred. Your fellow exiles, your companions, your friends. Together, you have come this far, but now, the downside and the rites conspire to tear your group apart and disrupt your plan. Are you prepared to choose this one last time?
No turning back.
With but a glance, you reassure your fellow exiles that you know what to do.
One final opportunity for salvation. Too bad for the rest
Well, all of them are prepared. So here's my line of thinking. The smart choice is obviously Volfred. If anyone can get the plan to completion, it's him. Bertrude's probably the second choice in terms of getting the plan to completion, but you all knew it was gonna be freaking Tizo. First off, let's see if we can apply these. Yes, okay. There you go, buddy.
Tizo.
Tizo is deeply moved by your decision, but regrets that you were forced to choose just one.
I know, buddy.
Your choice is cast. As for your other companions, you sense a clarity of thought and purpose in each of them. They stand ready to support Tizo as well as you.
Who shall strive for him?
I know, thanks. I need these, though. Thanks.
Assuredly, my boy. Besides, we stand against Orelek. It is fitting that I should have to confront him myself.
Bertrude.
Thy will is ours, reading one. Let the remaining stars shed their last light upon our ceremony here.
If that is all, then.
Those are to be our adversaries, then. And who is it, I wonder, who asserts his will over that group?
You sense Orelek searching for you, almost reaching out to you.
You, the shadow of the false Nightwings. They are nothing to me, but you who would relinquish your own liberty for sake of them. Strange. It is fitting, then, that I should have to face one such as you.
Then, Orelek stands at the ready, signaling for his two allies to do the same.
By light of dawn, the cycle of the rites shall cease. Let us see if we can finish this ordeal before that time.
The sky above begins to shudder. The final liberation rite is about to commence.
Tariq.
I am prepared, Celeste.
Then, let our song this evening shake the stars themselves.
Aye, Celeste. Let us make sure of it.
I am disappointed to see you here, Tizo, opposing me once more.
Tizo is very upset, and calls for Orelek to cease speaking to him. Oralek seems to stare at the imp for a moment.
It is a shame that you are caught up the middle of all of this, little one. Your mind has been poisoned against me.
Tizo insists that Oralek is wrong, and urges him to stop what he is doing.
I am sorry, Tizo. Now, I shall only say this to you once. Stay out of my way.
Begin. The final chance at liberation for the age.
Holy crap. Oh my god. Damn it. Wasn't fast enough. What? Damn. Oh my god. Let's go. Damn. Damn. They're getting smart.
The sky rains ash. Soon shall your pyre's own mingle with them.
Just then, the skies above begin to rain down fire, the final throes of the cycle of the rites, as the ending of an age.
Oh. Okay. Come on.
You wear the raiments once again. I could not simply stand by and do nothing, Oralek. Yet, that is what you did. When last we stood together on this blasted mountain, I fell. You simply stood. Oralek, what shall it take for you to be convinced I took no part in your betrayal?
Oralek seems to consider the question, but only for a moment.
Give me my damn freedom. Let me prevail, here and now. Would you promise to uphold our plan, to bring about a better Commonwealth? No, I make no promises. I owe you nothing. Then, I am very sorry, Oralek. My love of country comes before all else. More than your freedom and our friendship is at stake. Your love be damned, Volfred. Let us stand as adversaries then.
So be it.
Didn't see it coming.
Damn. Oh my god, he missed. No! It's fine. Oh my god. That's quite the strategy they have. Throw the ball at me and then kill me while I'm holding it. Thought I'd try and adopt it for my own. Didn't quite work.
Bertrude plunged into the adversary's fire.
Come on.
So the false Nightwings bear their fangs at last. But that cannot be your finest effort. You think you deserve your freedom more than I? Then fight for it, damn you!
How he has changed, that Oralek. Grown old and bitter all these many
Damn.
years.
No! Ah, shoot. No! Oh, what?! I don't know how they did that. Genuinely, no idea.
Somebody get the orb.
Damn it. Well, it's not going to be a perfect victory. I'm not really sure what I expected. Damn! Oh my god. Oh my god! Come on, I can do this.
Now go.
How do they do that? Come on.
Orlek stands breathing heavily. He looks back on the thin lick of flame that is his smoldering pyre, before turning his attention back to your triumvirate.
Damn. Holy crap. This is gonna be a lot closer than I thought.
All of you, you shall rot here. You shall rot as I have, all these many years. You false nightwings, who would deny me once again my rightful liberty. You, who deny that liberty to all of the triumvirates you face and vanquish under the guise of the traditions of those blasted scribes. Come, let us continue with this glorious affair.
Damn. It's over. Nope!
And there it is.
Phew, that was close.
The Nightwings proved their worth. An outcome which left little room for doubt. Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus, the scribes have chosen.
Oh, he looks so damn cute in his little white outfit.
Tizo is lavishing a great deal of generous praise on you, after having prevailed. You look upon Tizo for what you expect shall be the last time you see each other. Any moment now, the Shimmer Pool shall engulf him. Any moment now, he shall return to glory and join with Fulfred's agents in the Commonwealth to help achieve the plan. Any moment now, the cycle of the rites shall end, until at least the dawn of a new age. Any moment now.
And thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes have chosen. Oh, Nightwings. Reader, what have you done?
Tizo seems very concerned all of a sudden. Something is wrong. Each prior time upon the fall of Solium, the Shimmer Pool has opened, following the liberation rite, and taken in whichever exile prevailed. But now, all is still, and the light of the stars above has all but died. You sense a growing fear that it is already too late, that the Shimmer Pool shall not reveal itself again. Orlek approaches, his head bowed.
The 8 scribes saved their greatest treasury for last.
Then, something else catches his notice.
Wait.
A sudden rush of starlight cascades through the stillness of the summit. The Shimmer Pool has appeared again, different somehow, but open. Tizo looks upon it, but it does not engulf him, or at least, not yet.
It seems I was mistaken then. The 8 scribes. This is not their greatest treachery. It is their greatest jest. The Shimmer Pool is flung wide open. It seems that all are worthy now of freedom.
Orlek strides toward the Shimmer Pool, but... Halt, Orlek. Orlek glances over at the lone minstrel, almost in surprise. The Shimmer Pool has lost most of its strength. You step inside, and you shall surely drown. Of that, I can assure you. He laughs to himself at this.
Then, we have all been cheated.
No. The Shimmer Pool is revealed, and one of you may still return, as planned. But, as for her returns, someone shall have to choose, ere the last light of the stars is extinguished, and the rites cease to be. This is the final trial of the scribes.
The final trial of the scribes. Then, our confrontation, the liberation rite, it was all meaningless.
No. The victor of the confrontation is to be the one to make the choice among those closest to the scribes, either the anointed or he who anointed them.
Tizo thinks that this means either he can go to the Commonwealth, or you can.
Aye, it shall be either of you, the reader, or...
It shall be either or.
Tizo, please, make your decision quickly, lest it shall be forfeit. I do not know how much longer the light of the stars shall offer you this gift.
It seems then that Tizo has made up his mind.
Oh, don't do it, buddy.
Tizo chooses you. He wants you to be free. You're free to go.
No! I don't want it, man!
Tizo wishes to give up his freedom, so that you may regain yours.
Very well. Reader, sir, the choice which Tizo made, or rather, the choice which he gave, it is now yours to make instead.
This choice, it keeps bouncing back and forth like this. Absurd.
It may, until such time as one of you is willing to accept the burden and the outcome of that choice. That is the trial, and I fear that there is little time remaining now.
Reader, if you and your companion are too cordial with each other to accept that freedom, either one of you, and I shall gladly take it. Freedom ought to be more than some flirtatious trifle to exchange.
Reader, what is your will?
I genuinely don't know at this point. Like, I want Tizo. Orelek earned it and deserves it the most. It ain't gonna be me. Frick it, I'm sticking with my original choice.
You are decided. You've chosen Tizo. He looks at you with some astonishment.
Tizo, sir, do you accept the reader's choice, or shall you make another?
Tizo makes very clear that he accepts, with your blessings, of course.
Oh, thank God. Then, it is done.
You see a look of genuine surprise flash across Tizo's face, and then he is gone. You gave a chance at freedom so that Tizo may yet have his. May he return in glory.
Godspeed, Tizo.
See you, little buddy.
Scribes. No stars remain aloft. The cycle of the rites. It is finished. The Commonwealth. What shall become of it? What shall become of us? Nightwings. The opportunity to gain your freedom from the downside. Was it not enough?
That night, the exiled Tizo returned to the Commonwealth. He was to be the last. The stars had faded, and the cycle of the rites had run its course. He found the Commonwealth in great upheaval. Spurred by the efforts of 6 liberated exiles, Fulfred Sandalwood's revolutionary plan had incited the masses. These exiles and the starless sky pretended the return of the scribes. The people surged into the streets, shoulder to shoulder. Led by 6 exiles, their voices shook the heavens. The leadership of the Commonwealth panicked. No blood was shed that night, and by dawn, it was over. The leaders of the Commonwealth had cast themselves back into exile, or joined in this new cause. Thus, in its 838th year, the Commonwealth had fallen. The new Saurian Union declared its sovereignty in the next year. Among the changes its elected leaders ushered in, they vowed never to cast their people into exile, and they abolished the old Commonwealth decree forbidding literacy. Today, we still remember all of this. And we remember the exiles of the downside, whose deeds led to the dawning of our age, whether they returned or not.
We did it. Oh, we get a nice "where are they now" scene. That's nice. Well, yeah, I guess I may as well read through all of these. If you don't want to read these, then skip to this time in the video. Yeah.
With the rites drawn to a close, the slug market's revenues fell precipitously, and Falcon Ron was forced to liquidate his assets and close up shop. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those of an entrepreneurial leaning, this time of hardship led to an epiphany, or at least sudden change of fortune. One day, Falcon Ron had a run-in with a messenger imp bearing news from the other side. Ron gave to it one of his remaining trinkets which could not be sold. The following week, the messenger imps returned to him bearing a tidy sum of wealth in newly minted coinage from the Saurian Union. Falcon Ron cut a long-term deal with the messenger imp then and there. Though his trade remained a gray area from a legal standpoint in the Saurian Union, the newfound fame of the downside caused Falcon Ron's goods to explode in popularity. He later signed an elaborate agreement with Big Birchroots and found a distribution partner on the other side through Rookie Greentail, whose own business had expanded. Especially in the Saurian Union, Falcon Ron's goods are still known for their superior quality, though he assumes no liability for any side effects. Of course. When the cycle of the rites ceased turning, Wolfred Sandalwood turned toward the starless sky and closed his eyes and prayed. It was all that he could do at that stage of his plan. He aspired to assemble with liberated exiles representing each of the 8 largest ethnic groups composing the population of the Commonwealth. They would stand together as a vision of the 8 scribes returned, inspiring the masses to embrace an older set of values from before the Commonwealth had tightened its grip. With the rites ending sooner than expected, this ideal scenario became impossible. Sandalwood's own freedom, for instance, was now forfeit, yet the plan did have contingencies. Fortunately, most of these contingencies did not prove necessary. Word reached him that, on the night of the scribe's return, his fellow liberated Nightwings stood together, and their voices echoed through the streets. These former exiles, who ought to have disappeared into the ranks of the Commonwealth's own leadership, now stood united with its people, who poured from their homes in solidarity. It was imperative to Sandalwood that his stand against the Commonwealth be peaceful in its nature. An overwhelming show of popular support would be more than enough. Ensuring that this was his priority, and in the end the result was self-evident, the plan's goal had been achieved. Sandalwood kept busy after that, as much as possible, providing counsel from afar to those who would be at the forefront of the birth of the Saurian Union. Of course, being stranded in the downside meant that there was only so much he could do. Resting assured that the future of the nation was in capable hands, he returned his attention to the remaining exiles of the downside. They might never return to that new nation, but, at least, they could experience its triumphs and its struggles in some vicarious ways. So, he took to his old work, writing and printing. As literacy began to spread again throughout the Saurian Union, so too did exiles of the downside take to it. For his part, Sandalwood helped to teach as many as he could. More than that, he provided the material to read, a semi-annual report about the latest events both in the Saurian Union and the downside. This periodical gave many exiles something to look forward to. He welcomed the company of the reader of the Nightwings at every opportunity, and counted him a trusted friend and a keen editor. As Wolfred Sandalwood gained more fame throughout this land for all his sacrifices and his contributions, it is said that he remained steadfast about 2 things. The first was that The first was that the cause itself ought to remain in focus, the freedom that the people had achieved. It was a gift to be cherished, a set of values that needed to be nurtured. The second point he made was that he himself had little to do with the outcome. He would often praise the exiles of the Nightwings who stood with him, each in turn by name. He never forgot any of them. One day, to commemorate his birthday, the people of the Saurian Union unveiled a monument depicting him and the Nightwings as imagined in their prime. While Sandalwood did not learn of it until much later, it is said that he was moved to tears then by the gesture. It has since ensured that those of us with memories more fallible than that of Sandalwood likewise remember the achievements of his fellow former exiles and our cause.
I want to know about Manly.
When Manly Tinderstoff realized the rites had ended, and that he no longer could return to the Commonwealth through his ancient means, he was outraged. He cursed the scribes, spewing forth such a slew of blasphemy as to be very unbecoming of one of his high status and bearing. When at last he calmed himself, he focused all his energies on attempting to find another means of homecoming. He maintained regular contact with his wealthy family on the other side via Messenger Imp, and used their vast resources to explore other means of escape. He tried using an elaborate pulley system. He attempted to retrofit a flying black wagon with superior propulsion. He tried an imp raft, a hot air balloon, even prayer. Nothing worked. There was only one way to escape the downside, and now it was gone. Tinderstoff bankrupted his family in these vain attempts. At last, such was his shame that he retreated to the teeming woods of Black Basin to Cinderroot. There, he get wallows, complaining to his comrades of the chastity who still put up with him, either about his own misfortune or the latest news from the other side.
Yeah, poor guy. I do feel kind of bad for him. Whew. This is going to take a really long time to get through.
Several exiles of the Nightwings cared more for the plan of Sandalwood than to return home from the downside. The crone called Big Bertrude was a prime example. She had found a suitable environment to live, within the dismal regions known as Flagging Hands. There, she had built up a thriving place of business known to many exiles in the land. With the rites having ended, she returned to her preoccupations, working away almost as though nothing had happened. When one gets to be more than 400 years of age, perhaps then even monumental events such as the culmination of the rites or the collapse of the Commonwealth are seen as trifling matters. Much of her effort was doubtless due to the influence of Sandalwood, someone whom she had admired now for decades. He had made clear that he could not requite her feelings for him, but what could have been a hurtful dismissal led only to a deeper understanding between them. By and large, Bertrude kept focused on her work. Whether casting small enchantments or imbuing talismans, the work brought her a sense of purpose, she would say. In the Commonwealth, such services were strictly forbidden, but in the downside, there was a real need for simple luxuries, which the competing slug market could not always provide. Thus did Big Bertrude continue to live up to her name, and the tales of her days with the Nightwings made her that much more the living legend.
Whew. This is gonna kill my throat.
After her liberation, Jodariel soon became an icon of the movement that led to the collapse of the Commonwealth and the rise of the Saurian Union. Her horns and stern countenance inspired the people to believe that she was solely a Mer reborn. She became a great, if reluctant, leader. In the uncertain times that followed, Jodariel's seasoned expertise often came into play both in matters of security and of state. For instance, she conscripted and trained a team of volunteers in public safety. The community did not know what to make of such a cordial bunch at first, but soon came to value their service. They have stood for the people ever since, and we celebrate their founding day each year. She remained close with Hedwyn all through this experience, and they supported each other through their struggles many, many times. She kept an eye on Faye, who nonetheless demonstrated a surprising knack to get by on her own, though Jodariel was always willing to provide assistance, just in case. She continued training on her own, a regimen that grew stricter with each passing year. There were those who sought to train with her, and she sometimes obliged. There remained one other constant in her life. She would always remember her days among the Nightwings, and with fondness, for the most part. After regaining her freedom, Pamitha Thane found herself in a difficult position. Having once betrayed her people of the High Wing remnants, she knew that she would not be welcome in her native home. She did not trust the Commonwealth either. Instead, she found her place among Volfred Sandalwood's agents, who were busy doing their part to fulfill the plan. As it turned out, the plan was a success. Pamitha Thane stood shoulder to shoulder with her other fellow former exiles, and truly, they were a sight to behold. A disturbing rumor later spread that night the Highwing remnants were slated to mount an assault, which, for some reason, never came to pass. Pamitha denied any knowledge or involvement. Afterward, Pamitha played an active part in negotiating terms between the Highwing remnants and the new nation that would become our Saurian Union. Her previous attempts at something of the sort led to her exile. She must have felt some satisfaction to succeed this time around. Sometime later, Pamitha had an unexpected run-in with Rookie Greentail, with whom she had spent a fair amount of time while traveling with the Nightwings. Under these new set of circumstances, it turned out the two had more to talk about, and rather more in common. They would often put to test which one was able to outdrink the other. It is unclear as to which one of them prevailed in that contest in the end. One day, Pamitha received an invitation to return to the Highwing remnants, where she was to be fully pardoned. She held out a hope that she might see her blood sister Tamitha there, knowing full well that Tamitha did not regain her freedom. Tamitha did later learn that Pamitha was welcomed back by their people. However, she never responded to her blood sister's attempt to contact her. Pamitha in turn did not expect forgiveness from her at any point. Nonetheless, she kept on trying to reach out. She said to ruffle her feathers just a bit. Later, when asked, Pamitha Thane admitted she felt as though she had no home to call her own. This was during an interview conducted amid an extensive trip abroad, for she had traveled thousands of leagues beyond the bounds of the Saurian Union. Pamitha continued to journey thus, citing that it reminded her of when she was younger, and could fly unfettered. The Commonwealth had never provided a sense of home for the one that they had called Faye the Fair. She was surprised on return that she was so well treated. She felt uneasy about it, and besides, she knew that she would do her best to fulfill the pledge she had made to her friends. Even she could not have expected the impact she would have on the events that followed, which gave rise to our Saurian Union. Despite not fitting the image of any of the 8 scribes, Faye nonetheless stood out alongside the others, amid the teeming masses on the night of Scribe's return. She spoke of the scribes with such conviction and sincerity that the crowd was very moved. After the fall of the Commonwealth, there was a renewed interest in the legend of the 8 scribes, and many new interpretations of their histories and teachings. Faye found herself in the center of all this. Her way of speaking continued to compel a growing audience. She swayed many people from their astralist beliefs. Soon, the 8th Word, which had lost favor with the people during the reign of Commonwealth, sought her out, and asked her formally to join, and she did, right away. Among her friends, she always remained close with T-Zo, who, more so than anyone, could always make her laugh. She cited her relationship with Jodariel as the single most important in her life. Jodariel would always provide her with a circumspect perspective and the wisdom of experience. Faye always was devoted to her faith, but more so to her friends. Many people in the Saurian Union cited that her gentle manner and unwavering conviction helped them brave the changing times with courage and with grace.
I'm so glad to hear them get along. Ugh, so nice.
After Rookie Greentail earned back his freedom, he returned to a lavish welcome ceremony in the Commonwealth, as was the tendency for liberated exiles. It was everything he could have hoped for, and soon he was well off, surrounded by luxury, and choosing between various exciting opportunities. However, he must have given in to his better judgment, as he did end up siding with Volfred Sandalwood's revolutionary forces, as he promised. On the night of Scribe's return, Greentail was there with the others, inspiring the masses. He never looked prouder, the very image of Jormir Many-Mane himself. When dawn finally came and it became clear that the Commonwealth that everybody knew would be no more, he realized many new opportunities awaited. He began quite a lucrative career for himself, manufacturing and selling replica merchandise inspired by the downside. His main struggle was to meet demand. An aspect of his conscience cautioned him against making light of such a thing, but the money was too good, and soon his family was as well off as he always said. One of his orders of business was to seek out one of his old companions, Pamitha Thane, to whom he took a liking during their first quest to freedom. They bonded further over love of drink, and supported one another through uncertain times that lay in store. He also kept in close touch with Gilman, ever the perfect practice partner. They would train together often, taking care to stay in tip-top shape as much as possible throughout the years. Greentail always did his best to keep in touch with all of his many friends, and knew he owed his fortunes to them. He made a special point of staying close with the group of friends he came to know so well during his time with the Nightwings, wherever they were. They shared a special understanding that put even Greentail at a loss for words sometimes. When the worm Gilman returned to the Commonwealth, he believed that he had regained something even more important than his freedom: his honor. Gilman relinquished his knighthood and declined an opportunity to serve as captain on the Blood Border. He was not interested in fighting any longer. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those such as he, a circumstance soon came about in which there came a need for him to once again make use of his military training. Thankfully, however, the scribe's return ended peaceably. Gilman was on edge throughout that night, expecting violence to erupt at any moment, but the moment never came. When the matter was at last put to rest, then Gilman truly knew his time as a knight had ended. He declared to all those in earshot that he would never fight again. Unless, of course, there arose some other extraordinary set of circumstance, again requiring him to fight, but he certainly hoped not. He still trained regularly just in case, especially with his fleet-footed friend Rookie Greentail. He was always grateful for having studied under the Reader of the Nightwings, without whom he would never have completed his penance. Because of this, and perhaps because they were on opposite sides of the world now, Gilman dedicated his life to him. By that point, he had long forgotten about his days under the leadership of Sir Deluge, his former commander. Breaking free of his abusive leadership was his first step toward gaining a bit of self-respect. Gilman never did return to his homeland of the Sea Dominion, and was content to lead a monastic life on a small residence in the hills. It was just high enough to make him keep striving to conquer his fear of heights. Other than that, an intense daily training regimen, and an occasional visit from an old companion was more than enough to keep him optimistic and engaged. He knew by then that honor was not something to be won, but a contract with oneself, to be renewed each day. Thanks, man. After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, records of what happened to the Black Wagon of the Nightwings became inconclusive and contradictory. Some accounts suggested that the exiles of the Nightwings who remained in the downside continued to make use of the Black Wagon as their place of shelter and their means of travel. However, there is no record of what happened to the wagon's contents, such as the Book of Rites or the Beyonder Crystal, said to be haunted by the apparition Sandra the Unseeing. One possibility is that, when the lone minstrel took his leave, he took the Beyonder Crystal with him, for he was thus obliged. By this line of reasoning, however, the Black Wagon itself should have been taken also. Others remained skeptical that the Beyonder Crystal ever existed, or rather that the visions it granted were anything other than the result of an active imagination or a fever dream. The bog dwellers of the southern bogs offer still another explanation, for they are familiar with binding enchantments. If there existed such an object in which the Sisters of the Ark had been expelled for more than 800 years, then the enchantment could have expired along with the light of the stars. What this would have meant for Sandra and the Beyonders is difficult to say for certain. Other than it may have meant that they were finally released. Nevertheless, the fates of Sandra and the Beyonder Crystal remain unknown. Yet those exiles of the Nightwings who claimed to have seen this apparition all spoke of her with degrees of reverence, or perhaps a little fear.
It's been a while. It's so good to see his face again.
After his liberation, Hedwyn was instrumental in the events leading to the fall of the Commonwealth, and was vital to the outcome of the plan. The peaceful outcome of the scribe's return was attributed to several key factors. One of them was the underlying ambition of the plan itself. Another was Hedwyn's visibility among the people in the streets. Identified to be a liberated exile, he was believed to be Golothanian reborn. More importantly, however, was that one of the winged harps of the High-Wing remnants accompanied him. She was later identified as Vikhani Shang. Hey, good for you, Hedwyn. Their bond was symbolic of what was at stake that night, and proved vital to the peace that followed. In all his days as a leader in the Saurian Union, Hedwyn oft confided in his friend Jodariel. Despite her intense manner, there was no one whom he trusted more at times when circumspection was required. Hedwyn would often think back about the vow he made at the beginning of his quest for freedom. Although he cherished all the friendships he made, he had pledged to Jodariel, Rookie Greentail, and the Reader of the Nightwings that they might all be free again together. He had broken that vow, for, in the end, not all of them were able to return. A terrible guilt over this darkened his mood for a time. However, the others whom he still knew lifted his spirits, much like he had often lifted theirs. All of the Nightwings knew the stakes. While the others who stood with the Nightwings were not able to remain in contact thus, Hedwyn thought of each of them often, and so, in turn, did they oft think of him.
And last of the Nightwings was Tizo. Still so damn cute.
The imp called Tizo was the first of his kind to achieve liberty through the rites. While he was not the only imp trained in the ways of the scribes, imps are native to the downside, and thus care not for traveling abroad. This made them useful to triumvirates. Yet, Tizo had a different calling, and the Nightwings believed that he too could play a key part in Wolfred Sandalwood's plan. During the night of the scribe's return, he stood out to the populace as something of a miracle. They had only heard of downside imps before, from legends of Howoob the Swallow. Afterwards, he became something of an icon, representing both the fall of the Commonwealth and the beginning of a new era. He would visit his friend Faye at every opportunity. She was among the few who could consistently interpret what he meant, and they were always close since they met. Wolfred Sandalwood would sometimes send him little gifts, all the way from the downside. Despite the insurmountable distance between them, their friendship proved more than resilient. Tizo often missed his interactions with the Reader of the Nightwings. They had quickly built up a quiet rapport back in the downside. And Tizo would often express wistful gratitude for all his time conducting the rites alongside the Nightwings, who made such sacrifices for him. Other than that, Tizo was diligent about his role as something of a living artifact, and helped interpret the messenger imps that relayed news to and from the downside. Despite having gained significant celebrity, he never let it get to his head. Although, he did take full advantage of his access to the Saurian Union's fishing industry.
Now on to the poor people left.
After the Shimmer Pool closed for what would be the last time, Orlek looked around him, in the flickering light of the Nightwing's still burning pyre. He then turned to the Fall of Solium, and looked up toward the black starless sky. He cursed the 8 scribes then, one after the other. After that he strode forward toward the waters coursing from the side of Mount Elodiel, and without hesitating, he cast himself down. Orlek's body was never recovered. The drop from Mount Elodiel does not appear survivable, though Orlek did survive it, once. That time, however, he was filled with fury. Such was the betrayal he had suffered when his fellow exile claimed his rightful freedom. This time, Orlek was filled with nothingness, and chose to leave the downside in the one way he still knew he could. The other Nightwings who were to witness this never forgot what they saw.
Damn. We'll start from the bottom, actually.
After the final liberation rite, Lendl refused to believe that the rites had truly ended. He would sit through night after consecutive night staring into the blackness of the sky, awaiting any kind of sign that he might gain another chance at freedom. No such sign ever came. His fellow accusers started to express concern for him. Survival had become their top priority once liberty had slipped from their grasp. But Lendl dismissed them as weak fools. He insisted rather forcefully that any evening now the stars would shine for him again, and mark the way toward his inevitable freedom. He was, of course, mistaken. The others in his triumvirate were left with little choice but to abandon him. After that, the exile known as Lendl the Liar was never seen again. However, there have since been sightings of a bedraggled demon who wanders the downside and bears Lendl's cruel countenance, suggesting he yet lives. As the cycle of the rites drew to a close, it grew evident that a chance at freedom from the downside had forever slipped from Dalbert and Almer Oldhard's grasp. Thus, they and the exiles of the Fate returned to Jomir Valley. There, they struggled to get by, as exiles of the downside tend to do. Sometime after the rites had ended, the Old Hearts at last heard the news that the Commonwealth had fallen. This was well after the fact, of course, but it brought old Dalbert great joy. Despite his forthright manner, he had no love for the nation that cast him down, along with his son. Dalbert Oldheart passed peacefully in his sleep before the next new moon. In his final days, he implored his son to undertake a pilgrimage to the scribes. Almer never shared his father's view of the scribes, but respected Dalbert's wishes, and so, after a period of mourning, Almer began a new journey. Not a day went by that Almer Oldheart did not think about his father, and give thanks to him, and speak to him, at morning and at night. Would that the stars yet shone, for surely Dalbert's would be there among them, smiling down at his son, and watching over him and his kin. All his life, Sir Deluge had fled from one danger, only to find himself facing another. He had escaped the war-torn waters of the Sea Dominion, he had escaped the blood border of the Commonwealth, and now he had escaped the rites. After the rites had ended, many exiles wrapped up in an ancient test with crestfallen, as their last chances to return to their homes vanished, along with the stars above. But Deluge did not mind, for this outcome meant that, at last, there was no burden of responsibility weighing down on him. While most of his fellow exiles of the Pyre Hearts yet longed for the waters of the Sea Dominion, driven as ever by their impulses toward conflict, Deluge settled down. With him remained one of his companions, one Lady Seagrass, who had taken a liking to him for some reason.
Oh yeah, that was one of the triumvirates with him.
Reportedly, they disappeared into the waters of Worm Gulf, which may begin to explain the significant increase in worm population observed in the vicinity.
Well, good for him, I guess.
After the cycle of the rites had ceased, Witch Udmild returned to the Flagging Hands region, where she sealed herself in the Pit of Millith. There, even her fellow exiles of the Withdrawn allegedly grew unnerved after a time, and left her to her vile work. Sometime later, the Pit of Millith erupted into flame. So intense was the conflagration that it could be seen all the way from Jomir Valley. Arson was suspected, though the cause was never verified, and many bog dwellers in the region were forced to flee. A tempest blowing from the north finally quenched the flames. When at last the ashes settled and the grounds had cooled, the site of the fire was scarred beyond recognition. No trace of Witch Udmild could be found. As for the contents of the Pit of Millith, which notably included a profane object thought to be the remains of Islak, all of it was gone as well. Back in the Saurian Union, Udmild's repeated threats of the return of Islak were thoroughly investigated, and no credence was found to any of her claims. Barker Ashpaws never had much interest in returning to the Commonwealth, for he always found its bylaws to be stifling, so when the rites ended, he didn't care, at first. He soon grew very bored. The rites had given his life a certain sense of structure he had always needed. He missed the raw anticipation of it all. He soon decided to continue conducting the rites, for the thrill of it. He bent some of the rules and replaced some of the objects, but it was close enough. His packmates, the dissidents, proved more than happy to participate, and thus they ran against each other back in Jomir Valley. Gradually, other exiles familiar with the rites, as well as those who had not heard of it at all, started to take an interest. They ended up giving Barker Ashpaws some healthy competition. His old feud with Rookie Greentail ceased meaning anything to him, and he forgot all about it amid his new pursuits. Ultimately, even Barker Ashpaws, who had led such a directionless existence to that point, found something of a calling through the rites. Whether he took the rites less seriously than any other exiles of the time, or more, was oft debated by those who watched him work.
Despite the fact that he was kind of a prick, I'm happy for him.
Throughout her exile, Tamitha Thane was motivated by a single goal, to return to the Commonwealth, and exact vengeance on her ancient enemies. When she realized the rites had ended, and that she would never see her mountain home again, she nonetheless remained determined to aid her people however possible. She had gathered certain information pertaining to the intentions of the Nightwings, who had formed a pact to regroup on the other side after their liberation. Other such reports exposed certain weakness in the Commonwealth's defenses, and revealed to the Highwing remnants the opportunity for a risky but potentially impactful strike. As Tamitha could not participate in the assault, she learned what happened well after the outcome. On that night, known as the Scribe's Return, the Commonwealth had fallen. The Highwing remnants thus prevailed, at last, without even having to fight. Soon after the fall of the Commonwealth, Tamitha learned her blood sister Pamitha was an accessory to the successful outcome. Tamitha was very skeptical of this, but as similar reports kept mounting, she soon accepted the prevailing opinion, however grudgingly. Once, a messenger arrived bearing some sort of message, seemingly from Pamitha. However, Tamitha turned it away. She would not give in to an impulse to forgive. Knowing that the conflict on the other side had ended, Tamitha retreated to the crags of Black Basin and grew ever more distant. Those closest to her surmised that her inability to reconcile with her blood sister was at the heart of this, though for her part, Tamitha never once admitted to any such weakness.
Not looking forward to this one.
Once it became clear to Ignarius that the rites were drawing to a close, he knew that it was time for him and the Tempers to call it quits. But first, he and the Tempers decided to celebrate, and that they did, for many, many nights. The revelry did eventually subside. The exiles parted amicably, and went their separate ways. He roamed the downside then, searching for some meaning in his life. sometimes taking odd jobs requiring his brute strength. He never remained alone for very long, and took on many lovers in his time. However, he sometimes thought about the one he had called Curly Horns, and what became of her. Though his glory days as the most powerful conductor of the rites had long since passed, he always enjoyed the fearsome reputation he had cultivated at the time.
Well, at least he doesn't feel too bad.
After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, the lone minstrel bade the remaining Nightwings take the Black Wagon and seek their fortunes elsewhere in the downside. Their parting was heartfelt, but brief. He remained there at the summit of Mount Elodiel with Celeste, where the two of them would chronicle the final outcome of the cycle. Neither Tariq nor Celeste were ever seen again. We know all this now through song attributed to them. Some claim these songs originated in the taverns of the Saurian Union, and merely were imbued with weight of folklore. However, exiles liberated from the downside corroborated each other's claims as having met this duo that presided over the liberation rites. Another folktale suggests these minstrels were heralds of the scribes. Having fulfilled their obligations, they departed the world we know, and rejoined their patrons. One of their famous songs describes another simpler outcome, that the two gave up their duties to the rites in favor of a life that they could share together. In any case, they are likely to remain the subject of such verses and such songs, for it was they who watched over the rites and ushered in our times. There is one more account which warrants mention. The Nightwings conducted the rites under the guidance of a reader. Little is known of him. However, some accounts of him began to paint a picture. We know he was of common birth, always directionless and prone to misremembering at times. The journey to the downside left him close to death. It was then that the Nightwings found him. They brought him from the brink. He showed them the path. He pressed onward with the others. He had made a vow to help his friends be free. Thus did the cycle of the rites commence its final turns. When the final rite arrived, the reader's freedom was at stake. In the end, however, he remained in exile. From that point on, accounts of him diverge. It is said that the voice which troubled him, he never heard again. Some say he helped improve the lives of other downside exiles, though whether that is true, only he knows. Someday, perhaps, that reader's own star shall emerge. Then it shall pierce the dark of night in all its brilliant glory. Until such time, and ever after, all of us give thanks.
Their journey began on a barren waste where the reader arrived, afraid and alone. When he arrived, the book of rites awakened the Nightwings and ignited the flame. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in our brain till the end. We sing of the last of the Nightwings who, having broken the cycle, shall live on in song. Headwind prevailed and strode the path that his heart laid before him. He has found his way home. Captain Joe Dariel, mother to many, have found
And that's it.
She has found
We did it.
her way home. Rookie Greentail
Good God, what a game.
proved his worth and returned to
Just
his family.
was goddamn beautiful. Holy hell. I just... My God. Oh. 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 That's so damn cute. Oh. I just... Oh my God. I just don't even know what to say. This is such a damn good game. Holy crap. It's just so good, man. Holy crap. Man, I can't wait to play SuperGiant's next game. Because, hey, if you didn't know, SuperGiant released early access for the next game. A game called Hades. Which is, it's a roguelike. Which, holy crap. SuperGiant, one of my favorite companies. This may have made them my favorite indie company. Holy crap, this was incredible. They made a roguelike, and I'm definitely gonna play it. I may make videos on it, I don't know. I'm not gonna do a playthrough of it or anything. At least, not for a while. Logan Cunningham! Holy crap, that's... No way! That's the narrator from... He's the guy who narrates freaking Pyre, Transistor and Bastion. And he did the voice? Holy crap, no way. Logan Cunningham is just freaking incredible. He did Bertrand Ignarius as well. Oh my gosh. Logan. What a legend.
Kept their foes at bay with her finest enchantments. She remained till the end.
Ugh.
The reader at last made the night wings whole, having bound them together. He remained till the end.
What a truly magnificent game.
To the stars, we shall find our way home. We shall find our way home. We shall find our way home.
What a goddamn magnificent game. Oh, cool. I unlocked the harder mode. Alright! That's it! Pyre's done! So, moving forward, we are now going to be starting a playthrough of Crosscode. I did a Mystery Monday on the game a long time ago, so if you want to go watch that or whatever, I don't know, I'll probably link it in the description if you want to check it out before I get the series started or whatever. But that was back when it was in super early access, so a lot of stuff is going to be different, and I'm going to replay the beginning of the game, because I don't expect people to go back and watch the Mystery Monday to get the first bit. That's kind of obvious, and I don't think I needed to state that, but anyway. That is going to do it for this episode and this series. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope y'all have a magnificent day. Turbo the Magnificent out.